Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of my Immigrant Diary. My name is Precious.
And my name is Wale.
Great. So, Wale, I would like to ask you something. I wanted to compare your experience while you were in Europe, and I know you've been around, right? So, you've been around different countries, Europe,
Yeah.
Asia, America. But I want to compare your experience renting an apartment in Europe versus my experience renting an apartment in the US. What would you say if I ask you a question like that?
Um Easily, like, rent scams are one of the most common things all over the world. Doesn't really matter where you're coming from. Whether in Nigeria, in
You're
Germany, in the United States,
absolutely correct.
everywhere there are rent scams. So um but when I was when I was moving from Nigeria to a country like Germany, I never imagined that scams are going to be that common. I thought, well, at least from what I saw on TV, there weren't a lot of things that are advertised as like
That's good.
as what criminals do that are like scams. It's usually maybe like a robbery or maybe murder or something like that, but never scams. But there are a lot of them. So I moved to Germany late 2018, but I didn't move to Berlin straight away because I wasn't able to find a place in Berlin. So a place like Berlin, where rental apartments are very scarce, is also like a really good breeding ground for scammers because they know that a lot of people are desperate. That's one thing. And then a lot of students are always coming to Berlin to study. Berlin is also like a transitionary town or city rather for a lot of people. So all those people are candidates to get scams, to be scammed. So while I was going there, I was luckily I already had like some contacts, so I kind of already asked people what was going on when I went for the interview with the company in Berlin. Because that's the reason where I moved to Germany, because I got a job there. So when I went for the interview, I met with some of the staff. I asked them about everything about the company, about Berlin, including housing, and they did tell me, give me some tips. So I that's one of the biggest things that I learned, that just gathering information as much as possible. Of course, I try to put my best foot forward, always being nice to people, even just go, for coffee with people. You get a lot of information that way. So I started searching online. I got recommendation for a few groups that I can join on Facebook chats, and then I read a lot of blogs. And one of the things that I also saw online, that after I was able to go through some warnings that people do give, is that when people tell you that, oh, they are not in a country, they are traveling around, especially they put an ad of an apartment and tell you, oh, they're not in the country. Usually they don't give you that. They will put the ad of the apartment. So when you now contact them and then you are trying to negotiate how you're going to view the apartment, for example, they will tell you you're not in the country. That's a really big red flag. Like, you don't want if someone cannot show you an apartment, then that's something that you should just stay away from. Usually they will want to push you towards paying and promising you so many things that you'll be fine. And unfortunately, out of desperation, because a lot of people are looking for apartments in Berlin, the apartments, as the rental apartments are so the supply is much lower than the demand. People can easily fall into that trap. So that's one thing. So the other thing also that I started watching out for is that, like, you must always be able to view the apartment regardless, because people can give excuse, for example, that, oh, someone is living in this apartment, so you cannot come and check it now, you can check it after they move, which actually that is true. That people
Yeah.
can be living in that apartment while it's out on rent, because their rent is going to be due on a certain date and they are moving out. But there have been you should always be able to view the apartment no matter what. So that's something that will be that should also be like a big red flag when people are saying, giving you that kind of excuse to not be able to view the apartment. So and when an apartment owner, something I also learned when I was trying to learn, when they start asking you to send money long distance, for example, using things like Western Union or MoneyGram, whatever, like that's that's one of the biggest red flags that you should be very, very careful with, because once your money is gone, it's gone. It's not traceable.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just
Mm-hmm.
need like a code or whatever to go and get your money, and that's it. So you don't want to. Typically, people that have like rental apartments in a city or in a country, they have their bank accounts in that country. Interestingly, one of my very first apartments, I broke the first red flag, which is that the person I actually, even though I knew of the red flag, but the person that I rented from told me that he's not in the country now, and yeah, which is funny. But like I was able to actually guard myself from any kind of scam or foul play because I went through Airbnb. So if you go through Airbnb typically people want to rent it for like a day, a week, but there are also situations where if you rent it long term, they are going to give you a discount. So for
Okay.
me, it was actually perfect. Like it wasn't that, it was a little bit expensive than normal renting, but it wasn't that different rather. So that's why I was able to say, okay, fine, I'm going to pay for this apartment. Worst case scenario, if the apartment is not real, I just ask my money from Airbnb, they will return my money, and that's it.
Okay, so
So
Airbnb, if I may cut you, Wale, Airbnb was like a guarantor for you in this
yeah,
situation.
yeah. So if there's any
Well,
issue, for example, if you even cancel your trip or whatever, you can always contact them. There are definitely situations where you, if it's a legitimate apartment, and you also have to cancel, you can speak with the apartment owner. The apartment owner will refund make your money and those kind of things. And if it's a situation where the apartment owner is not responding, Airbnb will now actually refund you the money, and they will. I'm sure they will get the money on the back end on their own. So yeah, they do provide security for your money.
wow,
Uh,
excellent. That's very useful. Just to know. I know. But right here, you know, Maryland, I hear a lot about rental scam. Very similar to some of the things you said. These are some of the strategies people use to kind of scam, others, especially those who are looking for apartment to rent.
yeah, but
Um,
how were you able to skip that hurdle?
yeah, I think for me, when I moved into Maryland, one of the things I did because my background, I had a bit of experience working in real estate back in Nigeria, and so I had some very basic, fundamental knowledge of how to proceed. So when I got here, I'd done a lot of research, and so what we did was, um, the first thing is we went online, looked for the apartment. Spoke to different people. There were recommendations here and there. Check this out, check that out. But the first thing was to book an inspection. But we didn't get this. We didn't get an inspection from the property we wanted to see because we're living in where my spouse was living in um, one of the many apartment complex owned by this parent company. So uh, so from the get go it was legit, right?
So for
So
your
we did.
situation, you already
Yeah.
moved
Yeah,
to
so my spouse was already living in
oh,
an
okay,
apartment.
okay,
So
okay. So
we wanted to move from that apartment to another apartment which belongs to the
the same company
the
that
yeah,
rented
the
out
rental
originally.
company. So we
Okay.
didn't need to go through the ordeal of agent trying to figure out pay somebody. We didn't even get to see the apartment. That was like, we didn't get to see the apartment because it was an organization.
Yeah.
You can go to their office. They have a facility management office. So that gives some comfort, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, not everyone wants to live in apartment blocks, but that gives you some comfort because you can easily walk into their, a rental office, make your inquiry. If they have an open house, they can show you. If they don't, they can, show you a sample. And all of the units are supposed to be identical, and so it's very professional. But although you pay a little bit of premium, but I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
You get,
You just
and
speak
so
a little
for
bit
us, that
about the
was
speak a little bit about the sample, how you view it. Typically, like they can send you like a picture of how the apartments are, images rather, or you can go
yes.
online to their website. A lot of them have
Oh
websites.
yes, there's yes.
Hmm.
Even online on their website, you can have a not like a 3D model, a live model actually.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, you can see a live model of the apartment and how it looks like. And this is for apartment buildings, anyways. But the good thing with that is the process is very seamless in some ways because you do you do your application, you fill in your data. I think one of the things I struggle with is the fact that they needed to pull credit. You
yeah,
get-
yeah,
like that is something that I don't get, but I think is important. If anybody understands it, I would like to get some enlightenment on it. But yeah, they had to pull our credit to be
yeah,
able to consider us for as possible occupants. And so as a result, we fill a lot of paperwork, made an application, paid an application, non-refundable application fee, and so these are just steps that we took. Then after that, we got an approval. And so in order to move forward, we needed to make a down payment for security deposit,
yeah,
last month's rent, and the rent and the first month rent, and we had all of that, in the works. So like I said, a smooth process. We did that, made the payment, got the keys, got to the apartment. And so the good thing is that because, like I said, there's a lot of security renting from a very corporate, organization. But for
yeah,
those who are not going to be having the opportunity, going out to look for individuals, one of the things that, from what I've seen, my advice is to do a proper due diligence, do your inspection. Don't pay the rent to just anybody. Um, don't just pay to an account without having done your due diligence. It's very vital that people do due diligence on the apartment they are going to rent. Especially if you're renting a standalone house, or a landlord house from an individual, from a private person. It's very, very, very important that these due diligence are done.
yeah,
I know sometimes people are desperate, and that's what contributes to why they
yeah,
fall for scam.
yeah.
Sometimes they're also trying to save money, because when one is trying to save money, one is also susceptible to fall
Yeah, yeah,
into
you
the
become
handles.
vulnerable at that point to a lot of scammers, unfortunately. But definitely in that kind of situation, yes, you should do a little more research. There are a lot of situations where I found that is good that has worked for people in the past is if the landlord is also living in the same building. That helps a lot because
Yeah, so you don't avoid
obviously,
scam, even though it's another discussion for another day. Like dealing with living with the landlord, like that is a different ball game, really. But at least you're not scammed. You get an apartment,
exactly,
you get
exactly.
something, you get something. I don't want to say what you paid for because
Yeah, yeah. I
sometimes
mean, that has its own challenges, but it's definitely a way to verify that like the person actually owns the building and stuff
exactly
like
owns the
that. But
building and
yeah,
he's
but
on the
there are
building.
many other things that you need to do, but that's not in the scope of this video. But like, if you are able to look up an apartment using appropriate channels, being able to view the apartment is also extremely important. And also, like, they will typically you'll be asked for a list of supporting documents and stuff like that. You should have like a lot of pictures of the apartment online if you find the apartment online, or if you're going there, you should be able to talk about things, concerns, and expect when they're going to be fixed, all those kind of things. Those are how apartments are managed in the US. If you have a problem, they should be open and ready to fix it, and not just eager to just take your money. And so if you have all those things, you should generally be good and be able to get like and avoid being scammed. Unfortunately, a lot of people fall for it every day, hundreds of dollars. Regularly in Berlin, in the United States, it's thousands of dollars that people lose regularly. You don't want to fall into that kind of situation. So yeah, that's all I have from my side. Do you have any more for
No,
our
Wally, you
people?
said it all. Just where to look at the comparison, like we mentioned, from your experience in Europe and also my experience here in the US. Anyway, thanks for sharing. It's been a great day. Please like and subscribe and support our channel as we're going to share our experience as we go on our immigrant journey.
Yes. Have a wonderful week, everyone. We'll see you in the
Bye.
next
Guys.
one.